Okay, the meeting will come to order. The meeting is being recorded.
September 2.
We get the minutes of the previous meeting.
Motion.
Motion by Pat to sign.
Second.
Second by Lena. Any other discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous of 5. We don't have any 81Ps.
I'll be out of here in 5 seconds.
Chad is coming in right now. He can pull right up to the front and
Hope you
That's it. It doesn't get any better.
Beginning to worry.
Good evening. It's Chad with Milford Stoneridge Eastland Partners doing the Walden Woods project on Route 85. Coming yet again for another update on the bike trail. And actually we've been pretty busy. The entire 100% of the bike trail is gravelled and some portions are paved. And the next slotted paving is scheduled for this Friday. So with that paving taking place, that'll be a binder coat, which will mean that 100% of the bike track will have pavement on it. So
Great.
that's fantastic.
That's great.
Following after that, they'll be grading, looming the shoulders. We've already rip-wrapped a lot of the slopes in there, so it's really light construction we'll use on the base with small equipment to loom and get ready to seed and things like that. And then we'll have a final coat of paving and should be pretty much ready to go, minus some striping and miscellaneous fencing and things like that that we're currently working on.
It sounds great.
I noticed Hayward Street is almost completed too.
Yeah,
around there.
that's been curbed right there. Yeah, we put some
Yeah.
drainage structure in. We worked with the town, the highway department.
I saw
We did
that.
a levers crossing into the woods.
Yes.
We actually did a few modifications to the original plan
necessary to do.
and extended some drainage issues, and it's worked quite well so far. So
That's great.
we're looking forward to getting this thing released.
Excellent.
We got a correspondence from Mr. Deluzio. It said that you were asking for an extension to November?
Talking about it.
Yeah, we were just talking the last
talking
time we
about-
were here. It might be just loose items, maybe
Yeah.
like sign that's not here or stuff like that, but in the next 45 days, a significant portion of the trail will be complete.
Great.
It'll be just minor issues here and there.
Great.
The replication area's been already taken care of as well, and that's actually growing right now, so
Wow.
we're in decent shape.
Looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the original agreement was to have it done by October 1, but without knowing precisely when it would be done. We were trying to get it ahead of the game in terms of figuring out an appropriate written extension. You guys had seen the document that I'd put together and that Attorney Antonellis had reviewed on behalf of the developer. And I did have Jerry review it, and he's approved it. So that's a suitable form for a written extension. The question is, are you really going to need it? And you wouldn't, you wouldn't know that for sure until after your next meeting this month. So if you're going to do an extension, you need to do it the 16th. So I don't know if Chad or Joe or has anything to add.
Yeah, I mean, it's simply just a...
Chad?
Not speaking.
You snuck in front of him and didn't see it.
All right.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
a punch list.
Yeah, it's a minor punch list, and if,
We don't-
it's a simple extension.
We don't have any, it has to be 100% complete, correct? At the way the agreement's written, there is no substantial completion or anything like that?
I don't have the full agreement, but I don't think so.
No, Joe?
I was,
Yeah,
for the
do you
record,
have
Joe
it?
Antonalis, two factors on behalf of Eastland. It was supposed to be complete. And if you recall, the option was to place bond, and you have a tripartite agreement that's in effect, and I represent that bank also, and I was with that bank this morning, spoke to the loan officer, and he told me I could represent to the board tonight that there'll be no problem with an extension if that's required. The tripartite will stay in effect for the amount that's left, so I think we're...
To be honest, it based on what they've done and completed, I have no reason not to just give them the extension at this point in time. If they need it, fine. If they don't, they don't. But, you know, instead of them continuing to come back.
Well,
this-
they wouldn't be back, it would just be on the next agenda, because we don't have, I don't believe we have signatures yet from the bank and from Logan, correct?
No.
So if it
Well, yeah,
if it
but
appears that
at
that's
this
gonna
point in time,
happen.
as far as I'm concerned, we could agree to do that. They would come back with a signed document, and then we would just sign it at the next meeting.
Just submit it, I could bring back the signature with
Yeah.
the,
Right.
with
I mean,
Chad.
I don't, I make a
Yeah.
motion that we.
I'm coming
we approve
anyways
the-
next
the-
meeting.
The tripartite agreement, and,
The
it
first,
comes back with
Now I
the
can
other
bill.
signatures that we would then sign it at the next meeting.
the first written extension,
Yes.
Move,
to approve the first
approve the
written
extension
extension of the
to November
tripartite
30th.
agreement.
second.
Yes.
Second. Moved by Joe, seconded by Pat. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Opposed, unanimous of
So
5.
we'll just
Yeah.
bring the documents in.
Yeah, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So you wanna take it and get Logan to sign?
Yeah, I can do
Then
that.
get it off to my office and I'll get the bank.
Yep.
We'll have it
I-
ready.
Yeah, no problem. I'll grab it from Larry tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll get it after the meeting, because
Yep.
I don't have the original right here.
Okay, thank you.
Copy, Joe, you want the copy?
No, it's written on.
Boy.
Okay,
What's next?
next, we got to vote to endorse the plan for the Woodland School.
I got the
We'll
Mylar.
sign it at the end of the meeting.
Make a motion, we endorse the site plan for Woodland School.
I'll second.
Moved by Joe, seconded by John. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous of 5. Okay, we got a ZBA special permit for 27 Maple Street.
It's an application from Baxter Healthcare Corp., 27 Maple. They're going to the ZBA requesting a special permit to allow for the temporary placement of 2 cold storage units on the property. Bylaw allows for portable storage containers by special permit from the ZBA. The 2 cold storage units are to be placed at the rear of the building at the loading docks. They have a site plan. The legible one is, I think, next to the last sheet, where you can just barely see the two trailers. That'll accommodate the needed cold storage area until the interior's completed, so recommend favorable
Yeah,
report.
until the interior's done.
I'll second that.
Move for a favorable recommendation by Pat, seconded by Lena.
Come back anyway.
Any
Yeah.
further discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous of 5.
Yeah, they'll be back with an amended site plan soon.
I have your letter, I'm sorry, babe.
Oh,
Sorry about that. Okay, now we're down to the discussion on the OR. We've got Mr. Antonellis.
Good evening.
Joe Woznowski with the hospital.
I don't know why I didn't remember that.
That's okay.
Tony Pinto with the
Tony Pinto,
ITC.
want to come up and, Joe, these are the, from the hospital, you had some questions? We all had questions on that.
You can sit right there, Tony. I think that's a good spot for you.
Check, check.
yeah, we were talking last meeting about what the boundary would be or not, or whether to even try to go forward at the special town meeting with the OR residential zone. It didn't seem like there was necessarily a concern about including both the hospital and the cancer center and the state pool property. The concern was more how much input had the hospital really had a chance to have in the process, or whether or not any of the other properties, which are all predominantly residential, had a chance to comment. So the hospital has commented and is here. I've heard from only 3 so far, but the notice to everybody inside the proposed boundary just went out the other day, so the responses I'd gotten were generally favorable, as well as from the hospital, but Joe was here to confirm that, and Joe Antonellis maybe can speak about some of the other possible development in the area.
Well, I've gotten involved with this since I read about it in the paper, actually, because I'm in the strip of area that I thought might eventually become a hospital enterprise zone. And I see comparatively what happened in Framingham relative to what you see around Framingham Union, and wondered what will happen with Milford Hospital's continued growth, because the growth is obviously substantial when you think about what it's been in our collective lifetimes, all of us who grew up here, and see the difference from what was on that corner then to what's now, and the number of offices that might spawn or be spawned from that. So I started to check, and I understood that the Industrial Development Commission was in the process of doing it, and I kind of stuck my nose in a little bit. And then, much to my surprise, I have clients who are very interested in developing property in this area, and they're interested in creating new buildings as opposed to rehabbing older buildings. So I spent some time with Larry, and then got involved a little bit with the hospital. I had done some work for Tri-County recently, so I was able to talk to some of the people, and the result of that was we found out from Joe and from the other people at the hospital that there are more moves coming with the hospital, that they are going to continue to grow, and in a very professional and an exciting manner. And the more opportunities there are for development of ancillary office space in and around Milford Hospital, I think maybe the better for our community. And so that's why we kind of asked to have it come forward a little bit, because there's some people who are anxious to get going, and I think the hospital is anxious to have others around them servicing, and that's why we hope that we get it expanded all the way up to the 140 corridor, include the properties along Route 140 and some of the properties along Main Street, which might be attractive to develop.
Just adds to our tax revenue too, because we have the dual tax rate, and if indeed these properties are utilized for commercial use, we're getting 1.5 times the tax rate for the same property. And there is a demand. I'm in the business, I know it's there, so that's why, and Larry was the brainchild of this whole thing, and he wanted to expand the zoning up to the Hopedale line. And it's part of the IDC's belief that it could help the town.
I have nothing else to add on what the two have said. I'm also a member of the IDC, and again, this is something we've been discussing for a long time now, and it just seems like it's a natural progression on that for the town to develop something. If this was beneficial to the town, I think that's a good location. Whatever we do in the future for the hospital is unknown, but again, we're doing something huge now, and it's only a matter of time that things are gonna get bigger and attract more, so.
Yeah, I think when the IDC, as a group, talked about it, you recall that the original suggestion or proposal from IDC was that the OR zoning district be applied all the way up and down Main Street, replace most of the CB zone with OR, and only leave certain nodes of CB where there were already existing legitimate businesses, like the auto repair or the auto parts place and the appliance center and things like that. But obviously, the board would felt that changing the zoning boundary to the rear of those properties so that all of the lots are included in the CB zone was where that end of the street went, but this end was still up for debate. And as it happened, we were able to make the contacts and be able to have people here to hopefully respond to some of the board's concerns. Because my concern is that the development pressures that we've all kind of alluded to are going to come not necessarily in this kind of form, but in zone change requests to bring the commercial C zone further south on Route 140, which to me would be a mistake. because now you're not directing any new development, you're just opening it up for all kinds of office and retail, commercial. And at that intersection, I don't think you want more retail development. So that's why the proposal is as we talked about it the last time. But I think we would hope that you would want to go forward with it. Because the timing was such that I had to post the public hearing, the chairman had directed me to post the broader public hearing notice in the event that the public hearing's on the 16th, your next meeting, in the event that you would decide to consider all or part of it, you would be able to. If we didn't publish it, you couldn't. So, or if we published a smaller amount of it, you couldn't make it bigger. So the notice in the paper was for the first two zoning proposals, which was to fix the CB lot lines and to fix or change the parking ratios. The second proposal was this OR district configuration itself, that rezoning, and the fourth one then was the second page of that packet, which is the text change that makes sure that the district includes hospitals and solar energy systems by special permit, and that the height requirements are controlled. Anything above the 35 feet or 2 stories would be special permit from this board. So those are noticed. If you decide at the 16th you do want to go that route or portion of that route, you could. It's just that we had to get the notice in, and without a meeting in between.
Isn't the hospital already above that? So that would still be a non-conforming use?
Well, the hospital isn't non-conforming because they have variances and special permits
Well,
for everything. That it may literally not match the numbers in the book, but it's not a non-conformity. It's an approved use, yeah.
And in theory, if
I
they
think it's a
wanted to
good
come
idea,
back in the
Frank.
future, they'd have to come in front of this board rather than the ZBA if they wanted to put on another 3-4-story addition somewhere on site, in theory.
Yes, yes.
What was that?
With this new proposal, in theory, they wouldn't have to go back to the zoning board if you accepted this,
Right.
this new proposal. I just was looking for clarity.
Unless they wanted to do a 6 or 7-story building, and then they would have to.
But notice when I said 3.
I did notice
Notice
Yes,
how
I
said
know,
3.
yes, I know.
A
It's-
couple of houses on South Main Street now by the hospital that have for sale signs up in front of their houses already.
Right.
So they probably have some idea that something's going on.
I think there's anticipation of that, yes.
Yes.
One of the considerations we had when we were all talking about it also with Larry was to put the special permit granting authority here at the planning board, because so much of what we would do is site-oriented relative to lighting, sound, and visual stuff. Not that the planning board, the zoning board can't handle that, but it usually is more of a function of a site plan situation. So we felt as though you'd be dealing with, because when you're adding height, you're adding floor space, you're therefore adding parking, again, something that falls within your jurisdiction relative to where those spaces are gonna go, how they're lit, et cetera, et cetera. So we felt
Landscaping.
the landscaping, all of that, felt it was better to have the special permit granting here. And the other thing, and Larry picked this up, and was the issue, we got a heliport at the hospital, so what we've done is to limit that to an accessory use to the hospital, so that if another medical building came in, it wouldn't be able to have a heliport.
Okay.
Okay, so,
Right.
for instance, just pick the UMass building on the corner of Water Street at the
Yes.
old Papillion Shopping Center, they couldn't have one there.
No,
Okay, so that's how we did it, was to limit it to the hospital.
I get that. Yeah.
And then the other thing we picked up on was the issuance of a special permit for the food services as an accessory or as part of that thing, so that you again would have jurisdiction over that.
Yes, Pat.
My only thought in correlation to rezoning it is I would rather see it go to Fruit Street rather than stop prior to Green Street. And the reason for that is I'm just looking at some of the size buildings, parcels that are already there. If the hospital were to utilize them, I mean, when you start looking at, to make an office building, it doesn't always make sense that you're gonna buy 6 properties contiguously if you have that option. And some of these are a little larger.
Whatchamacallit?
Well, you've got,
Where were you talking?
Olson Auto Parts.
Yeah, but they're gonna fall under a pre-existing. I mean, that's, again, I'm not looking to put them out of business, but I'm looking at the size and location in correlation to the hospital, and you look at the size of the lots. I don't see them scooping up 16 individual 6,000, 8,000 square foot lots, when you can, in theory, accomplish the same thing when you look at a 3,200 or 32,000 square foot lot. That's all
I
I'm
hear what
saying.
you're saying.
So,
Well,
to
but
me,
the reason-
hold on, I would just rather, I'd like to see it extended down to at least Fruit Street. That's my 2 cents.
but that
And
was
again,
part of our
Fruit
original
Street Park
proposal.
is right there, so we know they're not taking
They're not
that.
taking that, right.
But that was part of our original proposal, and what the board had directed me to do
No, I
was
know, but I would-
adjust the lines. So what's posted for public hearing is this adjustment to the rear property lines of the CB zone that runs from Water to Orrin, and including the auto parts place. And then this stuff picks up where this leaves off, because this would leave off right here,
So we'd have to do that
and
again,
then
separate.
the rest of that would be
We're
OR.
gonna have a public meeting, which you are next week.
Right, I was just
You-
gonna
you
say.
can, you can adjust it then, and that's what you could put forward to town meeting.
Well, no, because that's what's,
No, I don't,
that's
can't
what's in
do
the.
You can amend it, you can amend it at
Amend it.
town meeting.
Yeah, amended.
You can amend it at town meeting.
I'm just giving you my 2 cents. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean that anyone else is going
I get
along
what
with
you're
what I'm
saying.
saying.
You know, based
Essentially,
on, based on the public hearing that we have, you could certainly send an amendment to town meeting saying that the recommendation of the planning board after the public hearing is that we amend the article. We can't just change it.
Right.
yeah, I think it's less likely, which is one of the reasons the line in each case stopped where it stopped. Even when it was the original proposal from the IDC, that node of existing commercial uses was recommended to still be CB.
Because, yeah,
That if it gets absorbed later on and needs to be rezoned, then we'll rezone it then. But it overly complicates.
no, and I
Either one of
certainly
these
realize that, but I think if this zone actually takes off, and if in fact it starts to become some sort of healthcare use, if you will, I think that you're gonna be looking in the future to extend it, so if that's the pleasure of the board, then so be it. I guess something is better than nothing. To me, I just, as you drive through there, and you try to figure out, and you see that the hospital's bought or purchased right around them very small parcels of land as of late.
That's right.
And you look at some of the larger ones, it kind of begs the question that obviously if those were perhaps available, it may be something in the future that they would look at. But again, just food for thought. I think conceptually, the idea is solid. Where the lines adjust to today or tomorrow, you know, are up for debate.
No, fine. I like this, frankly.
I do like this. I just considering the public hearing next week, I'm just wondering how the board feels about passing this now or waiting until.
You can't.
Can't,
It's just a discussion.
This is just a discussion.
Discussion, okay.
can't.
That's what I wanted to make sure.
Looks good to me.
Yeah.
And again, I want to thank the IDC, and I did, it was brought to my attention of somebody who worked hard, and I never acknowledged him, was Peter Scandoni.
Very hard.
Peter did a lot of work, and the board wants to thank him for what he
I did disagree with his rating of my building when he was rating.
I think it was accurate, Joe.
But we hadn't cut the lawn that week, so we do have a paint.
That
We
week
have
of
a,
the-
we
that
do
week of
have a
that month.
painter, we have a painter coming next month, so.
So you expect him to go back out, right?
I'll want him to reappraise it.
Well, you call him.
No, he did, he
Joe,
worked
you
really
have any
hard.
other-
Does the hospital have any additional, I mean, I know there's some properties that they own along Huntoon Slip. Do they have any other that goes beyond this right now, or does this encompass?
It encompasses pretty much all of it. The only piece that doesn't catch is on the back where our parking lot is way out to the far end beyond the Portuguese Club.
Yeah, it
It's
goes
not-
up north
It goes
off
up,
the
it tucks
map.
up outside the drawing, but it's pretty much wetlands out there anyway, so,
Yeah, as it turns out, we discovered that,
yeah.
and that was fairly recent, so, but as he says, it's wetlands, so
Yeah.
whether it's in or out of the zone really isn't gonna matter,
It's a piece
because
of
it's not
Not
gonna be
Resold, yeah,
developable.
hospital, yeah.
But I just wanted to make sure that the board had a chance to hear from,
No,
especially these
as long
guys.
as the property that you presently consumed,
I was asked
in
by
there.
a number of people, that that's why I had him, when Larry talked, I talked to Larry, and we put it all on. Again, it's up to us when we have the public hearing,
Hearing,
if we
yes.
wanna go with just the part.
Right here.
Yeah, we can go, well, we can go just with the part we had talked about from
it's gonna be less confusing.
across the street, or we can do the whole thing, whichever. Again, that's something we can make up our minds at the public hearing.
Great.
I just wanted, again,
Cool.
we wanted to hear from the hospital and
Thank you. We'll try and be here at the 16th also. So if anybody has any specific questions, and I'm sure Tony will be here also from the IDC. Right, Tony?
Yes.
Thank you.
Is it acceptable for the board, as this proceeds, to go to a warrant article, that IDC be allowed to co-sponsor this one? They had asked that in the memo we'd sent originally when we started this process. Now it's kind of gotten broken up into two separate cases, so I would hope that you'd consider allowing them as co-sponsor on the office residential
we
part.
spread the wealth.
Yes. Thank you.
They can get up and speak.
Thanks. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Nice.
Yeah, good night.
Take care, everyone. Have a good one.
If it falls in their territory, then they know their plan.
I think we're all done,
Doesn't
right?
fall in their territory. That's a story for another day, though.
I missed what he said.
Okay, do we have any,
Yeah, after these are.
move to adjourn?
Second half.
Seconded by Lena.
Bring out
All
the
those in
paper.
favor?
All right.
Opposed? Unanimous of 5. Good evening.